So, with that, we do have some amazing guest speakers who are here with us today from Zurich, North America. We have Michael Bovino, University Relations Manager, Simrin Deo, Campus Recruiter, and Steph Joviksen, University Recruiting Lead. So, thank you all for being here with us today. And Michael, I will turn it over to you to share your screen and to kick off the presentation.
Of course. Thank you for the introduction, and we'll definitely get started. Like you all said, we're here to kind of give some good feedback about how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Feel free to kind of interject at any point if you have questions. We're going to give you some behind the scenes look at on how recruiters use LinkedIn Recruiter. So I think one thing we really want to show you is updating your profile is important, and there's a lot of like reasons why. So we'll kind of give you a bit of a sneak peek to that, and I will share my screen. All right, Steph, would you want to start off?
Sure. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Steph Yavison. I'm the University Recruitment Lead at Zurich. If you're interested in any of our early careers opportunities in underwriting or actuarial, I'm the point person for that. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn and look forward to connecting and very fitting session too. So definitely feel free to connect with me for sure. Before I dive into slide content, Simran, do you want to do a quick intro as well?
Yeah, definitely. Hi everyone. My name is Simran Diol, and I am a campus recruiter here at Zurich. In my role, I basically focus on hiring for our finance development program and our claims training program, along with several internship opportunities. So, feel free to also add me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect, and really excited to be here on this call with you.
Thanks. And Mike, did you want to give like a quick intro too before we
Yeah.
start?
So my name.
Might as well, right?
I just dive into these things a little bit too
Yeah,
sometimes.
just
So I'm Mike Vino. My role on the team is more of a strategy position. So I work with all of our different external vendors as well as serve as the point of contact for all of our different partnerships with it, whether it be universities and or different organizations. So I'm working on just helping with our sourcing strategy as well as just planning our career fairs and just working on just overflow requisitions as well. So been in early talent recruiting for about 11 years now. It's kind of crazy to think, but love working with college students and folks that are just recently getting into the workforce. Pretty big passion here. So really excited to share with you all. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'll add my info on out in the chat towards the end of the session, so if anyone wants to connect. But yeah. So Steph, you
all
want to just
right.
take it
So
away?
yeah, let's dive right in. So, how to write a LinkedIn bio. I'm sure all of you have LinkedIn recruiter, or excuse me, LinkedIn profiles at this point. So it's a really important thing to make sure that you're consistently updating and updating like any type of academic projects or professional experiences that you've had so far. It's really important to make sure that you're updating this. Mike's going to be doing a demo and a handful of slides on how LinkedIn Recruiter works. But basically, to keep it really simple, the more information that you're able to include on your LinkedIn, the easier that we're able to search and find you on LinkedIn. So it makes it easier for us, also makes it easier for you. So on that note, just running through what a LinkedIn bio is. I'm sure some of you have heard of like what an objective statement is on your resume. I'm a huge fan of objective statements. I basically call it like I don't know, the thesis of your life, but basically introducing like who you are, like what your major might be, what you're looking for in a full-time role post-graduation. But just to give you like a quick bio or example of what a LinkedIn bio could be. So and this stuff is kind of like half true because I actually did go to UMass Amherst, but I'm not an underwriting. I hired for underwriting. But here's an example of one that I think, for my early careers perspective, would be a good one. So keeps it like kind of fresh and breezy. Hi, I'm Steph. I'm a junior at the University of Massachusetts. Haven't been a junior for a long time. Majoring in economics. Most recently, I interned at Zurich Insurance in Boston. I am actually from Boston. on their middle markets underwriting team. In this role, I helped to move critical pieces of data from our book of business to a new CRM system. My favorite hobby is traveling. I just recently returned from a semester abroad in Barcelona. My sister did the semester abroad, so it's kind of, there are some pieces of truth in there. But what I like about an objective statement like this from a recruiter perspective is it's giving me background of, okay, this is a person that's an econ major. They have a past underwriting internship, and then there's also a little bit in there about just like hobbies and kind of personal life too. And I think that can be a really fun thing to add, and especially for like a recruiter screen, it just is like an additional thing that we can bring up just to continue like the conversation during like a standard phone screen. The other thing too, so Mike will run through this in more detail, but this highlighted text here. So we do a lot of keyword searches, and one of like just the common keywords, which is no surprise, is that we will either search like middle markets or national accounts or like underwriting, for example, try to pull candidates with those types of keywords that are on their LinkedIn profile. So in addition to that, if you're really interested in having like a role or early careers role, pursuing a role in the insurance industry and like underwriting or claims or actuarial, calling this out in your objective statement is really helpful because it'll just continue to like pull your profile when we're searching candidates. So I think that's enough there. If you want to go to the next slide, Mike.
Sure.
And then what to include on your LinkedIn profile. So we always say that it's really good to mirror so basically consistently update your resume, view it as a living, breathing document. On the right is a resume template, just like a standard resume template that we recommend for early careers candidates, just something kind of like simple, easy to read. There's a lot of action verbs. There's an objective statement at the top. And we recommend that you mirror your internship and project work experience on LinkedIn. So you can see to the right, there's like some like LinkedIn bullet points of like a campus recruiter role. And the idea would be, although this is just a template, that the content that you see like on LinkedIn on the right would be appearing almost exactly on that resume too, which just I think is like a good practice. Then if you want to run to the next one. So work experience on LinkedIn. So this is like the most important piece of your LinkedIn. It is really important, as I was mentioning before, to try to keep things. I would say like even sending a reminder on your calendar to update your LinkedIn every like maybe like 6 or 8 weeks, especially with school. Like so much can change. Maybe you have like an internship during a certain semester. You have like an academic project that is like RMI related. But making sure to consistently update your LinkedIn is very important. And then most just some additional pieces too. So making sure, so if I'm a student that's looking to apply to an underwriting trainee role, making sure that I have some relevant work experience to showcase on my LinkedIn or my resume. So for example, it doesn't necessarily need to be that you absolutely have an underwriting internship. That's definitely something we look for. It would pull in a keyword search, but even like transferable things like customer service experience because it's client facing. Like my first job in high school and for the first half of college was working front desk. You can't get more client facing than that. So any type of transferable experience that you can add is definitely really helpful. And then just as like a common rule, using 3 to 5 bullet points for each role as you're listing out your experience. So keeping it not too short, but keeping it concise enough where a recruiter can look through your profile fairly quickly and see if there's like some alignment for that role. And then also thinking beyond the job duties. So highlighting actions and results within the role, and then providing like the specific scope of the projects that you're working on too. So like how I mentioned that, RMI project that you might want to add on your LinkedIn. Are there any types of like numbers that you can use to quantify like the impact you had? Like maybe so like a lot of our interns here will work on updating a process where maybe like they save like 20% in productivity or something from a manual process, but finding a way to really like quantify the scope of your project will be really helpful too. Making sure to include that on your resume and your LinkedIn as well. And then trying to like highlight certain things on your resume too to make it easier to read. We always say that less is more. and a great tool to use. Like typically, like what I'll do if I'm looking to like update my personal resume is I'll basically take those bullet points and put them into like Copilot or ChatGPT. And they can do a really good job of taking something that's a bullet point that's like 3 sentences long, and maybe they can shave it down to like 1 or 2 sentences, because every like square inch of a resume is precious. But yeah, those are just some 2 cents on kind of best practices for just like general LinkedIn profile best practices. And I'll hand it back over to Mike.
Thanks. So I think kind of diving into this is really just highlighting the STAR method if you all aren't familiar with it. Situation, task, action, result. It's a great way to break things down to give context and give a concise way of describing something. And this can be utilized within an interview process. It could be utilized within any types of projects. It could be also used for your LinkedIn bios, LinkedIn profile bodies, or even just like your resume. But like I said, you can go into this, example would be, describe the context with which you performed a task or face a challenge, whether it be in the internship or part-time job or school project. So the example would be kind of like worked as a marketing intern at XYZ company during the break, and then you can kind of combine this to be like, explain the actual task that was you were actually assigned. So, assisted and assigned to assist the development of a social media campaign. So you could really mix these two and say, assigned to assist the development of a social media campaign and conducted market research, created content calendars and scheduled posts. And then, the result was you increased social media engagement by 15% over 3 months. Kind of like summarizes what was kind of said in the previous slides. But if you can really use all those into like a concise statement, it gives the context of where you worked, what was your major tasks, and like what did you accomplish, rather than just, I assisted a marketing intern as an intern, at this company. Giving the context to the why of it really helps with helping folks understand like what was the impact. It's going to help you set yourself apart rather than just listing things out like a job description would. So, the benefits of it is you provide a clear and structured way to present your achievements. You demonstrate kind of your impact. And even if you have limited experience, you can show like you were effective in that and you were able to make an impact on like a project, things like that. And then it kind of just highlights your ability to problem solve and take initiative. So, this kind of really gives the standard of why. There's so many different career opportunities that you're going to find later down the road. I know if many of you are early in your career, there's a lot of different recruiters that are going to be utilizing LinkedIn Recruiter as like a sourcing tool. Think of it like just this is a giant candidate CRM, and we go into that to tap potential for new roles. To give you kind of more of the back end understanding of how recruiters work is, at most organizations, you're going to be assigned assigned a requisition. I don't know, for like an example, like an underwriting position, entry level underwriting role, and I need to get it filled. So standard practice for organizations that have a really good recruiting cycle would be you get the role posted, and then once the role is posted internally, we have our job boards that scrape it. So you might have a paid post on LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, like ZipRecruiter, all scrape those automatically, and then they're posted outwards. So you have that bucket. And then to kind of give the back end of it, if I'm looking to kind of gain other ways of getting candidates into what we call the funnel, meaning like there's a pipeline of talent, and at the top of the funnel, you got to cast your nets wide. And one would be posting in different areas, and another is going on LinkedIn. So it's like a standard internalized procedure that recruiters do to start to open up a project. So being on here helps you get into that funnel through another area. And we'll kind of go into that in a little bit, but just want to kind of give some context. In the age of networking, obviously you have a lot of Zoom calls like this where you can meet folks, you can share your LinkedIn, and it's often a first impression. So it's very pivotal for you to have one that's updated, gives context to what you're doing, things like that. And in general, too, networking in person, whether you're at a career fair or if you're just sharing your profile, like this is one of the first things we go and look at if we're investigating your background. It's typically on your resume, and we go and check, see, well, how updated is their information? Are they making an effort to be involved? It's very much like a part of your brand. And in the professional world, it's often outside of you presenting your resume, that first point of contact that people see. So make sure you want to keep it updated, and as you kind of evolve into your career, utilize it because there's a lot of potential opportunities that can come through.
So
So just kind of,
I
go
have a
ahead.
question, Michael, if that's okay. And
Yeah.
if anyone has a question in the group, please feel free to jump in and ask as well. Um, so with the LinkedIn profiles, so thinking of like the students, internships, entry-level job opportunities, is it enough for them to just have the LinkedIn profile, or when you look at the resume and then you go look at the LinkedIn profile, are you also like looking at how much they're posting, are they like liking and commenting and things like that, or are you just kind of looking at the profile that they have?
So some organizations will do that. It really honestly depends on the internal policies of the TA department. Some organizations discourage looking outside of just the profile and just wanting to look directly at like just what's on the content of the profile and the resume. However, some organizations do like to look at like, are they sharing things? Is there engagement? So it can vary. Um, but also as I'm speaking as like a corporate individual assigned to a company, there's the official policy, and then there's like, what are some recruiters doing? It's a manage of like, okay, some recruiters may say, hey, I have this official policy, I'm only going to look at this, but then if they're on your profile, there might be folks that they're human, they're going to go look at like, okay, well, my name is on the line by hiring this person, I want to make sure this is a good hire, let's go check out what they're posting, things like that. So being professional and being conscious about what you're posting is also important. I'd say different organizations have different policies as it relates to that, but I like to kind of just always operate on the side of caution. Is that helpful? Of
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
course. So I think before I kind of dive into LinkedIn Recruiter, some just general tips I like to share is make sure you're staying up to date, make sure you're adding relevant information, you're responding to emails. Even if it's like a no thank you, that gives the recruiter like a credit back for their emails, as well as just like if you respond to them, you never know like, oh, this is someone that might be interested. You could kind of just say, hey, this isn't something I'm interested at this time, but keep me in mind. Or if there's certain types of opportunities that you have, take it. Just say, hey, this is what I'd be interested in. Then you never know if someone has a role that they might have, it could lead to something. A lot of these like agency recruiters, which are looking for like different types of roles. They'll have different contracts. They might have like 5 different companies they're working with to get positions filled. They might consider you later down the road. So always just respond. I mean, and just kind of just say, hey, no, thank you at this time. However, if there's some opportunities down the road, I would be interested in XYZ types. Please keep me in mind for those. It can lead to something. So you can put your status open to work if you're looking for opportunities. LinkedIn does do a good job for the most part from not allowing recruiters in your organization to see this. So you are pretty safe to put on open to work. there's a LinkedIn recruiter profile that I'll show you that how we kind of, that's the back end piece. And then obviously having professional social media etiquette is important. Like I said, we can see what you're liking, what you're posting. I always discourage folks from treating LinkedIn like Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. It's there's a tendency. I know if you go into the feeds nowadays, there's so much content in there that kind of makes it seem like a space to act like you're on social, like other forms of social media. Everyone's free to do what they prefer, but I would say just keep it professional and kind of treat it more just like a professional space. So share professional content, mirror your brand that you're working on. Whether it be if you're at a company and there's things that they're highlighting, feel free to share stuff like that. But I would refrain from kind of treating it like a general social profile. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you the back end to this because I like to know the why to things and how this is actually applied. So I'm going to give you like a demonstration on the back end of how this actually works from a recruiter perspective, so you understand like, hey, this is something that we actually do. So let's just say I'm looking for entry level underwriter. Let's just go, UTP, which is our underwriting training program, 2025 NYC. Okay, so I'm going to put, I don't really need to fill out all this, but I can create this project. And then, okay, and then it starts to kind of get to this point, and we're going to start to just show you how this kind of works. Okay, so this is literally how most recruiters are going to go in and look for candidates. So hypothetically, I don't know, I'm going to just pick a school. I'm going to pick St. John's University because it has an RMI program. So I could put that in here. Let's say I'm looking for candidates that are graduating in 2026. I can update there. Now it's showing me folks that are at St. John's University, 2026. I can then even go down into the areas of this and type in like if they've got a bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science. Maybe I'm not looking for anyone that has like a master's. I can kind of filter on that or not. You can really kind of hone in. So I would start so like right now, so I'll give you like an example. Here's the talent pool at St. John's University of folks that are on LinkedIn. So we have about 1.5 thousand people that I can go into. So now maybe I want people that have like risk management. So sometimes these filters aren't there. So what we do is we go do keywords. So like as we're saying, where is the keywords? Sorry. We do like Boolean search operators. So for instance, would be one that we would do. So you see how this kind of starts to show it shows enterprise risk management. So there's different keywords that we use. I would go in and then maybe do like, say like underwriting. So if it's on your profile, you want to make sure you're adding as much of that in here. So underwriting intern, retail casualty, blah, blah, blah. So there's just so many different ways you can do it. And then this really does like help you kind of find what you're next looking for. So on the back end, then what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to go into like these projects and then I'm going to fill out these out and then I'm going to save them to the pipeline. And then we're going to start to message folks. That's the back end piece to it. As it relates to how and why folks will be actually utilizing these projects. So when you are doing this, there is a whole LinkedIn is just like a CRM, and having that ability to make sure your information's updated appropriately is going to make it pivotal for that. I know I just went into a bunch of detail on that. Does anyone have any questions regarding that so far?
I did see a few questions in the chat box. Not sure if they were all answered, but whoever wrote the questions in there, if you feel comfortable enough, if you want to share them or share anything else, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, like I said,
I
this
had
is
a
just more.
follow-up question. So I think someone answered my question a little bit in the chat, but I was talking about the skills section on LinkedIn, not just like a skills section in like a resume. What do we think about the LinkedIn skills section where you can connect skills that you developed in each job and then it categorizes them at the bottom? Is
Yeah,
that
so that
useful? Is there a strategic approach to that?
yeah, so like there is a filter in there that will you specifically can search on skills. So there is helpful. It is helpful to fill that out. It just depends on the organization. If you're familiar with Boolean search operators, that's kind of the most efficient way to kind of just search for keywords, which is going to filter based off like whatever words are in your profile. And recruiters will typically use that function to kind of just be more general. But say if you have like underwriting experience or claims experience that you think is specific to your role, I would always say that you really need to make sure you are being specific. I think like overall, it just depends on the skills. If you're like a software engineer, I would put like specific recruiting languages. If you're in Microsoft Office products, that's a good one to put in. Underwriting has a lot of different technical skills you can use. It just varies. I don't really think if you are not using the skills, it's going to be that big of a deal. But early on in your career, if there are skill sets, I would say like that's key. So
Thank you so much. I think that really helps. Last question, and then I promise I'll stop. On the about section, um, I've kind of filled out a quick summary of my resume, but I put like a brief intro about some of the thoughts I had for like kind of like what I envision for myself or what's important, but I wasn't sure if it's too controversial. Can I read you just like the one sentence and you give me your thoughts?
sure.
So it says, great connecting with you. I'm Bryce, someone who values integrity, thoughtful leadership, and building a life shaped by service, curiosity, and community. And then it goes into like at Eastern, I maintain da da da. Is that too opinionated?
No, I think like that just kind of gives a good example of like your morals and values. And I think in these types of alignments when it comes to what you're looking for in a company, um, value driven hiring is something that is important. And you want to make sure you're searching for a company that aligns with your values, if that makes sense.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And I see Emmanuel has his hand up, so go for it, Emmanuel. And then I did also see in the chat box a question from Kudzaishe, so hopefully you feel comfortable enough to unmute yourself and ask. But go ahead, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you very much for this session. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So my LinkedIn account was recently, restricted last month. And I plan to apply for a position opening by August 19. So, and my LinkedIn URL link is on my resume. So you as a recruiter, you're trying to click on my URL and you're unable to access it. What will be your take on that kind of
Um,
individual?
Honestly, if I'm being honest, if it's like it shows up and it's not working, uh, I wouldn't fault you personally if it seemed it was like kind of like a link issue. Some recruiters might ask like on a follow up, like, hey, do you have a LinkedIn you're able to share at some point? But it wouldn't be like, wow, this is like, hey, I'm going to strike you out because of this. I think just the content of your resume at that point would be more of like that first point. But there might be some follow up at a point like, hey, do you have LinkedIn? And I noticed when I clicked on it, it just wasn't coming through. So that's helpful.
Thank you very much.
Of
Thank you.
course.
Great questions. And Kudzaisha, did you want to share your question with everyone?
Okay, thank you so much. I was asking that I have recently started studying for the ARM designation course. So I'm planning to write my first exam in the October to December phase. So I was asking, is it okay to update my LinkedIn that I'm studying for this, or I should update it after I've ended the designation course?
Simran, would you be able to help with that? What's
Yeah,
your take?
I feel like it can kind of go both ways. So I always say, so once you complete it, then go ahead and post about it, add it to your LinkedIn profile because you've already completed the exam and the course. I do know that there are some situations. So, like for example, for when we are hiring for like an actuarial science major, they might put that they're currently studying for an exam. So it can kind of go both ways depending on the type of like role that you're looking for and the type of exams that you're taking. But I would say definitely. So once you do pass the exam, always make a post, celebrate that big win, and then make sure to always include that in your profile.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we had like an optional exercise if you all wanted to do this. If you haven't already, you could draft like a LinkedIn bio for yourself. And then we always kind of challenge folks to connect with like 5 employees at your current company that have had like a positive impact on you. If you're not currently employed as an intern, or if you're recently, or I would say add some folks that you felt like are in here. But I think we always want to encourage folks to add to their network, because as you grow, it's good to have. You never know where things are going to come out. But if you all wanted to take some time after, I know, how much do we have? How good are we on time? Like we're at like 12:40.
Yeah, we're good. We have time. We could go
So
to
if
the
you all wanted to take
exercise.
some time real quick to just kind of maybe write up a bio, maybe we could share some. I think that would be just kind of like a great exercise. And if everyone's kind of starting, I know we're at that time of the year where everyone's kind of transitioning out of their internship. So it might be a good way to update and kind of practice. So
I like that. And Bryce already got us started with some ideas on the bio.
I was actually going to ask. I've just done this because I know we're going into intern like search season, so I'm like paranoid about toning this up. Can I start off and ask for your opinion on mine?
yeah, of course.
Is it easier if I just share my screen and show you the one I have? Is that possible?
I Do we have the permissions for all folks to share? Because if
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that'd
it
be great.
should work. Just go ahead and share your screen. It should work.
Oh, brilliant. All right, cool. What do you think? Is it too wordy? I go on for quite a bit.
Um, are you able to zoom in a little bit? It's kind of hard to see
Sure.
it.
Sorry, my second screen's kind of big, so I forget that it might not like work. How's that?
That's good.
Oh, okay. And Tandeka, you'll notice the shout out to risk manager on campus.
Personally, so after reading it, I think it's great. You go into great detail about what you're studying in school, your values, previous internship experience, and what you're looking for in the future. So I think it's great.
I also put my resume on here. Does this, so like the look is this, and then it goes into like your resume. So it is like clickable, you can see it, it's fully accessed. and then it goes into this. I put everything that's on my resume in here, the 2 universities I have, even though I'm being kind of cheeky by throwing in the study abroad one, and then my skills, and then the recommendation section. I haven't given any recommendations. Does that look bad?
No, not necessarily. I think people know that you're kind of newer to the workforce, so we don't expect you to. And I, quite frankly, like when I'm going through LinkedIn profiles, I'm not like spending that much time on the deep nitty gritty at that point.
Okay.
But like, it might be something like at a later point. Like some groups will share their resumes with like hiring managers, for instance, and hiring managers might go to your profile and spend more time on it. But no, I mean, you're new to the workforce, and no one's going to be that critical.
And I was going to also say, I love that you have your resume included, because if, let's say I was sourcing you and adding you to our pipeline, I can easily see everything right off the bat, and I have your contact information, your previous like work history, so it makes it a lot easier for us to kind of connect with you.
There's also like one last question, and I'll stop. On my resume, I tried to make it to where you could read like the first 3 or 4 words, the last 3 or 4, and get the general sense of what the whole sentence means. Is that a good strategy, or should I just dive deep one by one and just go specifically into stuff? Because I can be a little data driven, but it makes me a little detailed obsessed. And I don't know if everyone else shares that same approach.
I would say, like, when you're describing anything in business, it's always important to kind of be concise and like treat it like you're talking to someone who has like a layman's understanding of it. So you kind of want like STAR method is a great way. I have really bad ADHD, and I'm also a history and poli-sci major. So like, I want to give all the detail, all the context, all the information, but it's so kind of in the weeds for most people. They don't want that. They want like, what is the key points and how did you get to the end result? So the more concise you can be is going to be important. If they want to know more, they're going to ask questions, and you just need to be able to speak to that. And again, the STAR method is so helpful, like in a concise manner. It's the people are looking at like, how are you explaining things and how effective are you at getting your point across? And that's going to help you with your like experience when it's so you can be an expert on something, but if you can communicate it in a concise manner and effectively and confidently, that's going to come off really well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. That helps so much. Thank you. Sorry for taking so much time.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
Fine. Krupesh also has his hand up. Go ahead, Krupesh.
I actually have the same thing. Like, can you review my bio? Like, I can share my screen.
Go for it.
Yep. So that's my bio.
I like that you put in kind of all the different areas you're looking to explore, because that's going to be helpful.
Yeah.
It could be also helpful for you to add kind of just like, did you have a position at all? Like what any recent positions or anything? Like scroll back.
I'm currently doing strategic risk consulting.
Okay.
I have a previous experience of cyber underwriting.
So I would add in that bio when you get a chance, like literally cyber underwriting intern, just so like if someone's looking for someone who has cyber experience, it would pull up a keyword. It would keyword search.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Also, like same thing. I have my resume on my LinkedIn. Like, just like have a brief, like a quick look at my resume.
I feel like you could add a few more bullet points to your most recent experience. Like, I always say like 4 to 5 is the optimal. I mean, you do have some pretty good, like, it's how you explain it's very direct and to the point. But if you want to give more, sometimes like I would break it down to like all the core responsibilities, but then
Right.
I also have coached people on think of the biggest win at your company. Like, what is that project that you worked on that really makes you highlight? Like,
Got it.
what, because that's like a question that I always would ask is like, tell me what your biggest win at this position? Like,
Right.
what is that you can really sell? So, like, if you think of that, make one bullet point for each of those, like that wow moment of I really killed it and achieved it at this position.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Anything like any other suggestions?
I think it's a well-structured resume. You have a lot of good exposure. It's concise. It's a good resume.
Yeah, and I was going to say your formatting is excellent because sometimes I will see resumes that come in where the formatting might be a little off, but this looks perfect. So it's
Thank
also key.
Perfect. Okay. I will just make those changes.
Yeah, I
Thank you
mean,
so much.
these are they're not like major. I mean, I would say like the more you can kind of give context to what you do,
Right.
better. But
It,
also, it's like that fine balance. So it's a good resume.
if I had to remove one thing and if I wanted to add my cyber underwriting experience, what it would be? Like one thing that I can like remove. Like it's not that important.
So
I would say because if you don't have that internship listed on here just yet, your projects, maybe remove one project and
Yeah.
include that professional experience
Okay. Sounds.
there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
perfect. Now we're going to do a shameless plug for some of our open opportunities, if that's fine.
Yeah.
Just kind of give Simran 1 second. I'll share
Thank you.
screen.
Yeah, and while we get this pulled up, so we are starting our recruitment season. We're approaching fall. So just kind of want to call out 5 of our foundational training programs for anybody that's a rising senior. All of these are going to be full-time opportunities. So we do have our underwriting training program. So really great if you are more so if you like to be like in a client-facing role, but still want to be a part of that analytical side. Risk engineering training program. It's really great if you are safety minded with an engineering background. Our finance development program, you get to explore either accounting or finance to become a finance leader in the area. And then also we have our claims training program. So for anybody who might really enjoy working with customers or people and kind of just problem solving to kind of help resolve any issues and kind of investigate some claims. And then we also do have our actuarial training program. So again, if you like to work with numbers, very analytical mindset, we are hiring in all 5 areas, and we do have locations. We hire kind of across the U.S. So some of our major hubs would be Schaumburg, New York City, Atlanta, Houston, and then also some parts of California. So keep an eye out for these applications. We are going to start posting them later this month, which does kind of take us to our next slide also here. This is kind of like our full timeline process for our full recruitment cycle. So just to kind of save on some time here, right now we are towards the starting of August. So we will be posting our applications. And then for anybody that is interested in some of our roles, we will invite you to join some of our info sessions later this month. And then from there, we do have our application, so screening process, where we do a pre-recorded video interview. And then if you are selected, we will be moving into some interviews later in September and October. And our main goal is to ideally have offers out before the holiday season. So hopefully you'll return back home to celebrate some good news with your friends and family in November and December. So again, all of our applications should hopefully be posted. So you can go to our careers website. They will also be available on Handshake. And if you guys do have any questions or if there's any opportunities that look interesting to you, just feel free to reach out to either of us here on the university recruitment team. And then just to kind of touch on our application process and timeline. So once you do see the role posted, you will obviously go ahead and apply. And then if there is an info session that is available, definitely we encourage you to go ahead and attend that. We do have role specific info sessions and then also just general Zurich info sessions. So it's a really great way for you to kind of have some more like one-on-one time with some of the recruiters on our team and then learn more about the process and timeline. And then from there, again, you're going to do those pre-recorded video interviews. Typically, there are about like 5 to 6 questions that you will answer. And it will be in place of the recruiter pre-screening. So instead of that phone screen, you will just have those 6 questions to answer. You'll record yourself. You do have 2 tries. So if anything goes wrong, you have a second chance on that one. And then our recruiters and hiring team will go ahead and just kind of review each response and make a selection on moving forward for interviews. So we typically do a batch day interview. So the way that works is you will be given a interview link and you will be joining a meeting with your recruiter and some of the other candidates. And we will kind of funnel you into different breakout rooms for each of your interview sessions. So it could be, 2 30-minute interviews, 3 30-minute interviews, but you will kind of just do those back to back with like a short little break in between. And then the goal from that is typically to go ahead and make a decision anywhere between 24 to 48 hours after that interview. So you will hear back from us, hopefully, within that same week with a final decision. So I know that was kind of fast. I was just trying to save on some time, but any questions on our application process?
Yes, I think there are a few questions. So I saw Krupesh had his hand up, and then there was a question in the chat box as well. But go ahead, Krupesh.
No, I actually have the same question that's on the chat box. Like, can international students like apply for like the internships?
So we typically do only hire. So it depends on the area. So some of our internships we might have, we might be able to, but typically we are only hiring for interns who are indefinitely eligible to work in the U.S. So, but sometimes it is a case by case situation. So I always say, if you see something that's available and it does interest you, go ahead and still apply. And then once you kind of go through the applications and work with the business, there might be, an opportunity there.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
One quick question. So I'm currently torn between risk management and claims, and the only thing that's drifting me more towards risk management is that I keep hearing claims has a high potential for like AI automation. Do you have any opinion for people going into insurance now? What is a good mindset to kind of look ahead and see what skills are valuable, what pathways can lead to like continued development? What would be something you'd advise people applying to kind of sift through these opportunities?
I would say it's really a matter of what skill sets you want to kind of empower. I think both have a potential for you to grow and learn a lot, but without giving you the corporate response, I would say underwriting would be the choice I would make. It's a little bit less stressful of a position. I've done claims, and it's a very particular profile you're going to have to work on. I don't know about automation about it. I can't really speak to that. I think like a lot of the claims roles that we hire for are people focused. Like there's so much, like I think like we get really evaluated on how we respond to our clients. And I don't think you're going to have a point where you completely remove the person out of it. Think about how much you dislike dealing with a computer when you're calling in a queue already. So I wouldn't say like, and I don't have a crystal ball by any means, but like I think based off like my exposure to claims, that we get really evaluated on how do you set yourself apart to your competitors. And one of the big things is how do you respond to how your claims are being handled. So that going fully automated, I don't know if that would really happen. I could be wrong. I mean, who knows what AI is going to do? It's like a big question mark, I think, in general. But claims is definitely a role where you're dealing with a lot of personalities, often quick. You need to have a tough skin. You need to know how to really work on the fly. There's a lot of opportunities to grow into different areas, especially in commercial insurance. Um, liability. Like there's auto, there's like property, there's workers' comp. So, and there's career paths in both. You start out in claims, you're going to get a lot. You're going to know the fundamentals of the business, but you have to understand like this is I would say a pretty tough job to like, and you have to have thick skin and really have a good customer service focus. The underwriting side, I think traditionally RMI programs are probably really pushing a lot of folks to go into it. I think that's when we're doing hiring. I think you see a lot of people aiming for RMI and that are in RMI programs are aiming to go into underwriting. It seems like when I'm talking with folks on these calls, it's usually people either want to be an actuarial or underwriting. Claims is not as popular, but it's not just it's just a different type of skill set. So I like to be pretty direct and real about how this all works. It's really just a matter of what your background is and where you think your strong suits are. Because there is no right or wrong way to kind of build your insurance career. It's just a matter of like what works best with your background. And speculating on what's going to change, it's so who knows? Like, I don't think anyone could really tell you and give you an honest answer. I think underwriting has like a lot of great ways to grow into. At Zurich, we have our middle markets group, we have our enterprise group, which is national accounts. We have specialties. So there's a lot of different areas you can go into. If you're looking to be more of like broker facing and you're dealing with clients and you want to like do some analysis as well, when it comes like the pricing, you work with some of our actuarials. That's like a good blend of two that we do. So it just depends. So that was a long-winded answer, but I wanted to make sure I didn't like oversell one or the other because I think they all have value. It just depends on what are you most comfortable with. And you got to ask yourself, like internally, what does my gut say?
Thank you for kind of a fullness of answer there.
Yeah. No, that was not a good use of the STAR method right there.
Out of curiosity, which part of claims did you go into? I know like a lot of people get thrown into like auto claims, which can be kind of rough, but
I did a claims rotational program and I did auto, I did property, and I did workers comp, and this was in personal lines, so it was a bit different.
Okay.
So
Very
Interesting.
cool. So with that, we are at time. So if you guys could all join me in a virtual round of applause for Simran, Michael, Steph. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for an hour. This was really, really informative, and we truly appreciate your time. For all of the students who are here with us today, as mentioned, we do this on a weekly basis throughout the summer. So that's going to be for the rest of August. We'll be hosting these sessions on a weekly basis, and then it'll switch to the regular monthly basis. So our next session is going to be on Thursday, August 14th from 1 to 2 Eastern. Our presenting company is going to be RT Specialty, and our guest speaker is going to be the co-president of the entire company, and he is also a Spencer board member, and he is going to show us the limitless opportunities of an insurance career. So, hoping to see all of you guys next week. It should be some really good networking. And enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.
take care. Nice
Thanks for
meeting you.
having us.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.